Okay, because of the Winter Olympics and we're up here in Canada, I'll use a hockey reference to get started. We're going to grip it and rip it and get started. So thanks everyone for joining. I'm just going to launch in and show the product, and you can ask questions. You can either unmute your, you can either unmute and just say, hey, I got a question, cut me off, or feel free to just pop your question into the chat. Ishu and Nikan and from our team will be able to answer questions from there. And so, yeah, here we go. Share my screen. Let's get started with my elevator pitch. So what is cmBuilder? cmBuilder is a fully web-based solution. So all the authoring, content creation, modeling you do, this happens directly in the browser. We call it visual construction planning, and there's two main use cases with that. The first one is around 3D logistics planning. So lay down areas, access points in context to your site. You know, where's the surrounding power lines? How are you getting vehicles in and out of the site? Do you have lay down areas? Do you have space for trade parking, for trade storage, etc.? Muster points, these types of things. So we'll call that logistics planning around the construction project itself. Like, do you have to back in construction or lorries or trucks? Where's the crane going to go? Where's the hoist going to go? Does the crane swing and impede on a building? Do you have air rights? All those types of things that keep up superintendents and site managers up at night. The next thing would be like the 4D planning. So 4D loosely is the understanding of like schedule or program linking to a BIM model, and then for us tying all your means and methods, temporary works to that all in one place, right? So you have a full understanding of what's being built, when, and with what, right? With what context, like what means and methods. And then the nice thing about cmBuilder being fully web-based is I'm starting with the finish, by the way, so I'm going to come back to how to build this up, kind of getting to the end, and I'll work my way backwards, is that, you're being fully web-based. You can start commenting, working in multiplayer mode. As you can see, my colleague Ishu's in here with me. Ishu, start moving around. I'm gonna follow your camera. Okay, so Ishu, I am now following Ishu's camera. So Ishu is in the same scenario at the same time. At the moment, we have one editor and everyone is the viewer. We are working on multi-edit, multi-view. So true real-time collaboration. Okay, so that's that piece of it. Now, if I want to also, like, it's unlimited users with cmBuilder, so you can like bring in people from your team, you can collaborate around the model. So if I wanted to like tag my teammates on a comment, I could just go here, add a comment at issue. Please review B1 of logistics plan. Right. So when I do that, Issue's going to get pinged an email with a hyperlink directly to this comment and this view. And then, of course, I can work through this, and obviously with the goal to, if there's replies or things that move the fence, there's usually 3 or 4 emails goes into that. Now I could just be like, tag me in the comment, and I'll just resolve all those and work those things through, right? So real-time collaboration and collaboration with regards to kind of project delivery is a big part of the platform. So this is like a vertical construction example, which is not all we do. I'm going to come back to this at the end and talk about outputs. But in the meantime, horizontal construction, right? So things about building roads and bridges and tunnels, anything that requires showing, visualizing, and planning construction equipment and lay down areas and logistics is a great fit, right? So this is an example of a bridge kind of going from beginning to end here. So I'm kind of working through all these pieces into a final piece with animations and cars driving and road completion. So let's call this horizontal construction. And we have a bunch of stuff around custom terrain and bringing surfaces from other softwares that are doing terrain models that really helps enable this, right? And then down to even like steel erection around data centers, right? So this is a good example of a steel project where we're working through placing the anchor bolts, safety, sequence. Okay, we're going to do the beams, and the beams need safety, down to like who's going to be welding and in what position, right? So you can really get detailed with how you want to plan this out in terms of visual construction planning. Actually, there's one here I like a lot. Are they here? No. Where's my welder? Let me see if I can find him. One of these scenes has like a guy welding an anchor bolt or whatever, or welding a connection here. Missed them. That's okay. You get the idea, right? So the idea is like, okay, we're going to build structural steel, building A, structural steel, building B, facade, roofing, weathertight, and topped off, right? So working through all those construction milestones. So various typologies of construction can be handled inside cmBuilder, not just buildings. How do you get started? So I'm going to log into the platform and hit create. Say open demo. Oh, geez. Open demo. Now we do have a couple integrations. Procore, if you have your project already in Procore, you can just bring it in, link it, and sync it with all your users and permissions. We also have an ACC integration for model management. So if you're using ACC or whatever it's called now, you can connect it. Define where I'm in the bidding stage. Okay, is it closed or versus org-wide? That just has to do with security in terms of like who can access it. Org-wide just defaults to your user permissions. Closed means every user needs to be invited by the admin to be given access to that project. So what I'm going to do is I looked at the different people that are showing up here. So I'm going to go to Phoenix. So I'm going to go downtown Phoenix here. Let's imagine we're going to move the pin over here to this stadium. Let's imagine I'm building a new project here by the stadium. You can change the size of the map tile, hit generate. I'll keep an eye on the chat in case anything pops up. So you have a couple different options, right? So we just launching this photorealistic Google Maps integration, which is like a Google Tiles concept that allows you to just automatically upgrade your site with your existing conditions to the photorealistic like surroundings of this. Or you can use our traditional, like we had before this integration, topographic map from Mapbox, which is just simple massings to start with. It's very simple, and then you can upgrade it from here. So you get the idea. I'm just gonna wait for this to load. So yes, once you've loaded this now, I have a kind of an option here. Hit create, and you're off to the races. So basically, punch in an address. You don't have to worry about getting information from various sources to get your site in context. In a matter of a few seconds, you punch in an address and we'll generate your site in context with surrounding buildings with photorealistic surroundings. Here I have my nice infinite tiles feature as well, which is quite nice. So you can kind of see your project site in the context for the whole rest of the city, which is quite nice. This is a new feature. We had ways to do this in the past, but not so directly native and integrated. And then you get the idea. Here we go. Let's imagine I was building a project here in this parking lot. What you would do is you go into your site condition, you start drawing boxes, you flatten it down, you start putting your excavations and everything that you need, right? So this is the out of the box visualization opportunity that you can just get with cmBuilder. Now, you don't have to rely on that. You can also use your own information. So I know that some of the folks on this call have very robust drone programs that are flying the site. You're doing aerial capture, you're doing reality capture workflows. So this is an example of a drone deploy 2D photorealistic, 2D orthomosaic image that you can just project on the terrain. So that's for the 2D side of things. And then, of course, if you have your own imported mesh, you can bring that in as well. So you can start to drag and drop your mesh in, scale it, and then start to pull into your equipment to visualize your pick points for demolition, where your fencing is going to be, how you're handling, if you're doing big demolition, blast radius, all these kind of things from there as well. So you can actually use that data to start telling your story. Like, okay, we're going to demolish the building. We're going to drive piles on the east while we're excavating the west, move the pile machine over here, and get ready for ground up construction, right? So you have a few options of how to get started, either with your own data or the auto-generated data inside cmBuilder. Now, I've got a site here I've set up for this demo. I've got a Revit model. I didn't say, but we take Revit, like RVT, IFC, FBX, Navisworks, Step. So pretty much all the core authoring tools that you would see inside the BIM world. Now, you don't have to have a model. We also have a very robust catalog of resources for building elements and the ability to use massing. So you can create massings inside cmBuilder. Today, I'm going to show you the BIM model workflow, but like you don't need that. Technically, if you have no model, you just put your drawings in, you bring your schedule or milestones you want to show, and you can just start sketching it all out inside cmBuilder, right? So you don't need that. But let's get started here. Okay, so I think most of us are in North America, so I'm going to switch my user settings to be Imperial. I'll do this. Here you go. So I'm locked and loaded. Okay, let's call it I'm a project engineer. I need to do a site logistics plan for a pursuit. It needs to be done by tomorrow, and it has to have high quality and incorporate all the things that I would think about when I'm doing site logistics planning, right? So first thing I do is I'm going to 2D mode, and I'm going to look at how I have to secure the site. So I'm going to go into my resources. As you can see, there's 3,450 resources that come out of the box inside cmBuilder. So we're broken down by equipment, vehicles, logistics and facilities, safety elements, building stuff, right? So this is pretty much all the things that you're going to need in construction. So you can search by subcategory, or you can just go at the global level and say, hey, I need a fence. So you can see there's 108 different types of fences from different markets and things like that. So I'm going to choose my Jersey barrier chain wire fence. And this is where cmBuilder is quite unique. It's not a web viewer, right? You don't do a bunch of work in some CAD platform or BIM platform and then upload it to the browser. You actually model and create content directly in your browser. We built an engine for this. So I'm going to use my imported drawing that I've scaled and positioned on the map as my reference. And I'm going to sketch a polyline to represent where I want my fence line to be. Right away, it's going to give me some data. It's going to say, okay, you have 134 fence panels, 854 feet of fence, and I can export that to Excel for my general conditions or general requirements costs if I want. I'll go back to 3D mode and you can see how easy it is to model a fence. Now, this is someone that signed up for this demo that I'm not sure if he's here, but I'm sucking up. We have a whole branding feature set where you can put your clients' logos, you can put your own logos on the resources automatically, and you can manage that. So you can build a bit of a light digital twin of what your site's going to look like in real time. So then I'm going to grab, next thing I think about is access control. A big part of things like access gates, how we're getting flow of material into the site. So this is a really neat thing just for gates. It's a guided resource. It's going to find the fence line, and it's going to place the gate in that's fully parametric and to scale. And I can just use my hotkey A and I can just drag and drop, right? So this is where we're trying to bring the barrier of entry to doing all this kind of stuff right down, right? Just search what you need, drag and drop, dead simple, right? Anyone can do it. More than 50% of our users are not what we would call software technical folks. They're superintendents, they're project managers. They don't do this all day long. They didn't have a BIM background or VDC or digital engineering background. They just need to be able, they used to do it in 2D. They need to be able to do it now in 3D. It's easy to pick up. I'm not going to get too deep into the BIM stuff, but for those folks on here, I think one for sure is in that digital engineering world. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with manipulating the models and stuff to reorganize, because some of those models are coming from the design team or some other third party that didn't organize it for construction planning. So you can do selection sets, you can split the model, you can do a bunch of things there. I'm not going to get too in the weeds of that, but I just wanted to highlight that. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hide this imported BIM model because I'm not yet ready to start sequencing from the design of the model. I'm still in my site prep mobilization stage. And I now want to start thinking about laydown areas, no-fly zones, temporary parking, right? These types of things. So zones are a very popular feature for us. So I'm going to use my zones here. I'm going to I'm just going to draw on the map where I want my loading area to be. Right away, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to add a property. 200, so it gives you an idea of 2,257 square feet. I have a bunch of tags I can give it: loading area, hazard area, combination, etc. I'll say this is my loading area. I can even texture these zones, which is really nice. So it can be a caution area or zigzags or finished landscape or asphalt or temporary road type looking, right? I like this asphalt look. Now these zones, it obviously doesn't look that interesting in this context, but if I go back to my first thing, that's what I'm using here is textured zones to really call out the different areas of construction, right? From sidewalks to roads to et cetera. And we have a bunch of interesting automations coming, I think Monday, around templatizing this to make it really dead simple, to be able to do roads and things like that. So that's the textured zones. I like to combine labels with zones. Whoa, what happened here? It's got a weird setting. I can change this. Got it. So I'm going to remove this and I'm going to change the size a little bit here. So let's call this loading zone. And then I will change the text color to white. Right, so I got my loading zone. Oh, one thing I wanted to show, any 2D object that you bring into the site, if you have slope, if you have terrain, you can hit project on terrain and it will no longer be planar. It will actually drape the map. So if you have any 2D object, drawings, images, labels, etc., click that, it follows the map. Right, so you get the idea. So now I'm starting to say, okay, here's my loading zone. Where do I want to put my accommodation zones for cabins, trailers, etc.? So I'm going to look into my resources here. I really like this double stacked container office. So let's imagine I want to do like a welfare area of like 4. So I'm going to hold control and I'm just going to go boom, boom, bam, bingo. So I got 4 just like that, right? So dead simple. Now I could go a little slower and snap them together and make them like very, very precise, but I'm just going quickly for this demo here. And then this is not a fully parametric resource because it's a standard off-the-shelf size. But we do have some parametric ones too. If you're not quite sure what kind of like sizes you need, you can like use the parametric options and just stretch them around to find the best possible usage of the space given. So you get the idea. I'm gonna like the site preps of muster point, soil remediation tanks, laid out areas, trade storage, all the things that take up space on the site, or that need to be accounted for. We should be already in that catalog, or you just drag and drop them in there. So I'm not going to finish the whole thing, but you get the idea. So next, I'm going to start talking about how we tell our story over time, right? So no construction site stays the same. It's constantly evolving and changing. And those are some of the key things you need to call out to your client when you're trying to communicate how you handled the project. So you can either just, if there's no schedule file available, et cetera, you can just hit a plus, you add manual milestones. If you have them, if you don't have a schedule. If you do have a schedule or program file, I highly suggest just using that. So I'm going to upload this MPP. We take XER, MPP.pp. So for ASTA, all the core scheduling softwares, we can read inside cmBuilder. There's like 14 or 15 different file types. So you just upload your native schedule, and then you can choose the tasks and dates that you want to bring into your simulation to be to tell the story you want. So the level of granularity and how much detail or not is up to you. So you can choose if is this just like a quick look ahead simulation, I need 5 or 10. Am I trying to get a permit with this to expedite construction on site? I just need major milestones. Do I want to communicate the entire life cycle of the construction, weekly, monthly, etc.? It's up to you. So I'm going to choose a few here: excavation stage 1, stage 2, foundation pour, podium level 8, and facade level, and so weather type topped off to level 18. So I've chosen just a few here to show you. So I got 6 milestones. So these tasks in my schedule are going to become what we call milestones in cmBuilder. You have the opportunity to rename them if you want. By default, it takes the exact same name, which is what most people do. And so once I hit accept, this icon here is telling me like this is a linked task from a schedule file, right? So if you have a new schedule or program file available in 6 weeks from now, you just hit update schedule, and it's going to take version A and version B, and it's going to update automatically, like if the dates move and things like happen, because there's an ID under the hood. See, I can click here if I really want to. I don't want to scare anyone too much, but I want to show like basically like all the details of this. I can actually show the how the ID in the hood is being done, but you don't need to do that yourself. So if I click here, it's going to expand here and say this is like the GUID of this, and so that's how we map the differences between Schedule A and Schedule B. We've tried to obscure this away because we're trying to make this simple. We've come to learn it's hard to make something simple. It's much easier to make something complex. So the goal here is simplicity, but you can actually scale it up the level of complexity as you want. Okay, so you get the idea, right? I got a schedule. I've got a program file. I've uploaded to my scenario. Now I've created what these are called milestones at the bottom of my plan here. So what we're going to do now as a planner is to say, okay, what is the job going to look like at each of those milestones, and what information do I have available to show that? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show excavation stage 1. I need to show kind of a simple 2-cut sequence. I'm going to go terrain, earthwork. One of our most popular features is the ability to do all your cuts and fills and trenches and ramps inside cmBuilder natively. So I'm going to use for bulk and detail excavation, I suggest using cuts. Obviously for trenches, like stubbing into the site for district energy or something like that, you can use the trench tool. So I'm going to just do a bulk cut here. Now I can either click on the depths with my 3D slider, or I can just put the values in here. So okay, I'm going to go, let's go 12 feet deep. If I want to control the face of each of these of this cut, so I can control each this slope in or slope out. I can apply them all evenly, or I can change and control each of them. If I need to go 4 to 3 or 2 to 1 based on like a geotechnical or structural engineer's report, you can control that all here. If I wanted to turn off sloping on some of these faces of the cut and like backfill and slope this part, but vertically shore this part, you could do that. I know this is not very realistic, but you get the idea. Just want to show how you can fully control that. And then I'm going to go to my next one, excavation stage 2. So again, it's going to auto save everything I'm doing when I'm active in that scenario, or sorry, in that milestone. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to second cut. Let's imagine this time no sloping, all vertical shoring, 24 feet deep, just to show the dramatic effect of 2 depths. and change the color, right? Boom, I got my 2 elevations. And if I need to show a ramp, snap a ramp in, adjust the ramp. Let's go 20 feet wide. The grade, fully parametric, right? So this is just like you're in full control of how you manage this. I'll change the color of the ramp as well, just to show this. Now, this is really clever. Often you build ramps with the loose volume from previous cuts, so you have the option to include the ramp in your earthwork takeoff or not. Let's just say I will. I'm bringing in new dirt for this, right? And I'm going to say done. And then as you can see, just in a few seconds, boom, 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 I've created my 2-cut sequence. Now if I open up my earthwork takeoff, you are creating some data while you use cmBuilder. So you're able to apply a swell factor from a soils report, and it'll give you a detailed breakdown of your compact and loose volume for every cut, fill, ramp, trench, rapid trench, right? So, and this has really been a game changer for some of our customers. I did a whole talk with BCL Construction here in North America, where they were putting this through the rigor, and it was about 1 to 2% deviation from their traditional estimating purposes, but obviously much faster. So yeah, it's a good way to get some data and help double check your earthwork takeoffs as well. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to edit this sketch. I'll just move this thing and hold shift. Boom. You can see my fence kind of got put on my excavation. So what I'm going to do next is I want to talk about, like, as I move to my foundations, optioneering and planning in pre-construction is one of the core functionalities of cmBuilder. So you don't know, there's many ways to build these projects, right? There's no one way to do it. So if I go back to this demo paid project I created, in a single project, you have this concept of scenarios, right? So one project, unlimited scenarios. So scenarios can be modular versus stick build, 2 crane, 2 hoist versus 3 crane, 3 hoist. Different excavation shoring options. That's a big one that comes up. Do we have an underpinning agreement? Are you going to be able to use shotcrete and dewey dags, or are you going to need to use some other shoring system, right? So you can just like duplicate scenarios and just run with a new plan. You can use our advanced duplication, which is you grab certain aspects of one scenario and put it into another scenario because you're kind of planning. I like this part of this scenario, but not that part. So I'm going to start to merge them at the end to find the best possible solution, right? So let's imagine if I wanted to like study different shoring options on this face of elevation. I go to my resources. I'm going to go to my equipment and vehicles, excavation shoring. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of shoring things. So sheet piles, secant piles, pile angle bracing, concrete lagging, wood lagging. So let's imagine I'm going to grab this wood lagging soldier pile. I'm just going to sketch across this face of elevation, hit confirm, hotkey A, bring this down. I know this is not the sequence of how you would build it, but you're just trying to visually show, hey, I'm using wood lagging soldier piles here. Okay, now I have my wood lagging soldier pile. It looks good, looks sharp. Now, if I wanted to double click this and say iteratively, I want to change to concrete lagging or something, we have this swap feature. So it's going to take the same exact polyline and it's going to replace it with another resource, right? So it's like a really fast way. We have some customers telling us, like, in the meeting with the client in the room, they're coming up with different options on the fly because it's so fast, right? That's the goal ultimately, to come up with the best possible plan for the team. Great. Now I'm going to start talking about how we bring in resort or the model and link things through. So there's a couple ways to do it. I'll choose the simplest way for today. So if you recall, I hid the whole model. Now you don't need to have just one model. You can bring in multiple models. You can snap them together. You can use our geolocation as well to locate them based on the EPSG code that's coming from the model. But for now, I have one model with different elements in there. So I'm just going to, of course, I've cooked the books here. I set it up for myself to have success. But again, you can reorganize the tree structure of the model if it's a mess. So I'm just going to right click. So I'm in my foundation milestone, and I'm going to right click my foundation parts. And for the building or the project, the bridge or whatever you're building, we suggest using the begin from or end at logic. So like you typically build in sequence, and you can begin from, like, okay, at this milestone, we're pouring the foundations, right? Or for end at would be demolition. At this milestone, we're actually going to demolish this thing, right? So I'm going to go begin from, and now if I go back, it's gone. If I go forward, it stays there, right? Because you pour the foundation and hopefully it stays, or else there's a problem, generally speaking. So that's kind of the logic for the actual thing that you're building. Now, the temporary works and means and methods has typically a different logic, right? These things tend to show up and leave. So now what I'm going to start saying is like, okay, well, how are we going to build this? There's many ways you could build this. So you can use a placing boom, or you can use a concrete pump, etc. So I'm going to go into my resources, and I'm going to, actually, I'll just search at the top, search concrete. grab this concrete pump, place it in my loading zone. This is a fully parametric concrete pump. I can all the boom parameters, pump parameters are fully parametric. I can adjust this here. Now these aren't just generic things. These are real resources coming from the real world, linked to the manufacturer's spec sheet. And so we can, so when we're using this, we're building fully parametric resources that are performant in the browser and that are from the real world, right? So we want you planning with the resources you intend to use in real life. Now, if there's something that you need and we don't have inside of our library, you just go up here to the resource, like the help section, and you said resource request. So let's say you have a different concrete pump with a different size and we don't have it for whatever reason. You just request us a concrete pump XYZ. You put that in there and then you request it and we put it in the catalog for you. And this doesn't cost anything. This comes with your subscription. So the turnaround times depend on your subscription level, but generally speaking, you need something, request it, we put it in the catalog for you, right? So that's how we've gotten to 3,000 is we have a small team that's just building these things out every single day and we're responding quickly to our customers. Okay, let's do concrete truck, which is, grab this guy here. So I'm going to place 2 concrete mixing trucks here. Some of these have some built-in animations to them already. So I'm going to move this here. So okay, we're going to have 2 concrete, so Control C, Control V, all the things you would think that you just have there. Place this here. Good. So I'm going to use my hotkey A. Now this is like, if you really want to get crazy, you can start having like SimCity for construction planning. We have some superintendents that really like this and literally go crazy. So yeah, the parameterization of these elements is all controllable here. And you can change the color, you can have the branding, etc. So like if you self-perform some of these things, you can change the color of them to match your branding and logos and stuff like that as well. So I have 2 concrete mixing trucks serving 1 concrete pump truck. Next thing I might think about is like traffic management, right? So I can say water barrier. So I'll take this this Wally barrier. Now this is a polyline resource. So I'm just gonna sketch a line of where my water barrier is gonna be. And I can just show that here, right? Boom. Next thing I might want to do is what we call in North America a flagger and what they call in the UK a marshal. So I'll grab a flagger here. I'll take a street flagger, pop this on the map. Again, I'll rotate this guy here. Great. Sign. So anything that you can think about that you might need, cones, arrows, signage, these things should already be in the catalog for you. But again, if there's something you need, just request it for us. So the logic for the temporary works like scaffolding and mobile cranes and these things, they tend to it's not like they just begin from or they end at, right? They tend to come and go. So let's imagine I'm going to last you select these. And let's say I just want these only for the 6 weeks that we're going to pour the foundation, right? So what we have for this is a logic of from and to. Based on your timeline and your schedule, I want these elements from this milestone to this milestone, right? So I'm going to say, I only want this from the foundation pour to the foundation pour, right? So now that I've done that, if I go back, they're gone. If I go forward, they're gone. These elements are all linked to this milestone, which is linked to your schedule. So again, if the schedule updates and changes, it's going to update with it, right? Because there's a link. So that's really, really important. So you tie the temporary works from this milestone to this milestone, and the thing you're building begin from and at. Okay. Now, a couple clever things the team has done really well, because as much as we like to be 3D native and we talk about 3D and 4D and we're all fancy, the truth is you still probably need to get some good 2D outputs from this stuff too from time to time. So as you can see, if I'm in 3D mode, I just see the thing. If I go to 2D mode, the fence becomes a dashed line, and now I have my icons. So a lot of these elements come built in with icons. For premium and enterprise, you can add your own icons to them. So if you have a standard library of the things you use for traffic management, you can upload them and you can link them so that automatically when in 2D mode, you get your icon. When in 3D mode, you see the 3D geometry, right? So boom, boom. So that's pretty clever. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of finishing my simple sequence here. So I'm going to go back to my tree structure of my model. Okay. And I'm going to go boom, boom. So I'm up to the podium's level 8. So I'm going to say, okay, begin from this milestone. And then I'm going to go to my facade level 18. So weather tight and topped off. Begin from this milestone. Now, very simple example, but look, I go boom, 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 right? I just have quickly created a sequence from this. And the next thing I want to do is talk about crane planning. So a job like this, where are you going to put the crane, where are you going to put the hoist relative to the crane. These are critical decisions that can really drive the productivity of the site. Typically, the construction companies we work with, there's only a handful of people in the entire company that are allowed to make decisions like this because they have a real impact. And planning these things better is a big need that we've seen in the market. So if I go into crane planning, so if I look at fixed cranes, we have about 270 fixed cranes, 359 mobile cranes. If I go, this job is more of a fixed crane job, so I'm going to go in here. You can search by capacity, freestanding, height, reach, etc., or by brand. So I'm going to go my JSO here. Let's imagine I want to look at this luffing crane here. So I'm going to snap this on the map. Now I could be very precise, and I could offset, like snap it to the slab edge of the live structure, and with tiebacks and everything. But I'm just going to go quickly here. Maybe right away you're like, you know what, this is not really a luffing job. I want to stay away from this drive aisle, but I think that we're not going to have a great coverage with this luffing job. So let's switch this. Remember my swap resources concept. So now I'm going to swap this to a J560 flat top crane. I'm going to bring this up. Now this crane is fully parametric, and like if I try to adjust this jib beyond 280.5, it's actually going to stop me because that is the maximum length of the jib as per the load tables of this crane. So if I'm not sure about it, I go to specs, preview, I pull up the load table, right? So this resource in 3D and the parameterization of that resource in 3D is representing this table. So if you need to like understand, okay, this is like a 2,500 pound pick, this air handling unit or something, you know, I can go to this length and say, okay, I'm at 187 feet. What's my max capacity? Do I have enough capacity to make that lift? So that's more on the planning and the heaviest pick concept. And then the nice thing too is like you can also just turn on the front arm envelope within your adjust tab. And then this will also adjust parametrically as well. So if I bring this in, the envelope's going to adjust with it, right? So you can, what a lot of people do is in their construction planning sequence simulation, you may create one milestone that's in 2D, turns out like that can be sequenced. So you can sequence the envelope to show, okay, this is my crane layout envelope milestone, and like maybe have some call outs for it and things like that. Okay, good. So from here, you would start to do things like, you know, capture your angles and add call outs and things like this, right? To start telling your story over time, which is really, really exciting. So you get the idea, right? You punch in your address, bring in your project data, drawings, models. If you don't have models, create our map with a massing, schedules, programs, start to build out your scenario. And at the end, what do? So coming back to this first one here. So you click export and share. There's a couple options. You can export a resource QTO. So all your temporary works will give you an Excel of all your counts and lengths per all your temporary work. So the resources coming from our library. Okay, so that's helpful for your general conditions costs. And then you can also create videos. So we got MP4 is the main one now. You just export MP4 videos. You can export 2D outputs as well. So plan view, images or PDFs that can go into your packages or can go be printed and put on the trailer. Or you can do what is like by far the most popular way to collaborate, especially, I mean, it is unlimited users, so you can bring in people from outside your company if you want. I'll just make this open for a week. But a lot of your clients are not going to want to like create a link or create an account in cmBuilder. They just want to get the result. They don't care too much. You can just share them a live link. Okay, so I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to pop it in the chat here. If anyone's on their laptop, they want to try that out, give it a shot. I'll show you what it looks like from our side. Now, we do have some analytics with this link as well. So, so if I hit confirm, yeah, I can go into my dashboard. I can see who's opening up. Let's see, obviously I haven't sent this, so no one's opened up this link, right? But you'll start to see who's opening up the link. So when you share that, so what a lot of people do is they'll send the link to the scenario, and then they'll include a video or 2D outputs as well to go with it, right? That kind of tell that story. So this is going to start firing through. This is a very concrete, specific milestone or scenario. So, you know, it's like you're going to say, here's my port breaks, here's my safety considerations for this. So if at any point when you want to, you can actually, your client or whoever you're dealing with can just pause, and it just becomes like a 3D, 4D model viewer on the browser, right? So this is like a really nice way to dynamically kind of bring people into the project, right? And if they can interrogate the model, it can really feel like it's part of it, as opposed to say a static video or something like that, right? So this live sharing of stuff is really pretty cool. Um, and goes a long way to really telling your story when it comes to winning work, when it comes to planning better in pre-construction, and then communicating downwards, even with subcontractors and different stakeholders in the construction phase as well. So I've got some rules I've set up here for the concrete to grow, based on, like, growth animation and flash different colors for everything that's new. As you'll probably see, there's lots of safety considerations. Safety is becoming a really big use case with cmBuilder. It's a great way to work through safety simulations and communication to the various stakeholders in the project, which is quite nice. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but you get the idea. You can play with it on your side. Now that's for the kind of 4D or output side. One last thing that we're just launching live, it's brand spanking new, is you can also start to play around with, like, what we call our AI rendering tool. So let's go down to, I don't know, we'll pick something here, and right, so you can start to, like, basically what people typically do is, say in the bid package, you might create 5 or 10 stills that go with the plan, and this is where you can really get snazzy. So click on this enhance with AI, so for your current view, and then you got a bunch of different options with regards to prompts. Now we're working on this to add more prompt, like make it a little easier for stuff. So you can, like, say a night scene. You can adjust this prompt. I suggest you play with it a little bit. So sky is dark. I'm going to remove some stuff. You get the idea, right? So I'm going to generate this. It typically takes like a minute or two. I'm going to pull ones up that I just finished before this. So this is like a night scene where I've added like lights and make these lights like activated with AI, which is nice. Here's one where it's like, okay, add more stuff onto the site for late, like, stock materials and things like this, right? So this is a good example. And then here's another one where we've used kind of AI to just make it a little bit more realistic, the look of the active deck that's being poured, right? So if I come back to this, so this one changed the geometry. So this is obviously, I need to change and tweak the prompt a little bit with this, but you get the idea. You can start to play around with this. Actually, I'm gonna do another one. Let's keep it simple. The whole building, and I'm gonna go export share, and I'm gonna go current view, also the AI, and I'm gonna make this snowy. Rainy is good, actually. Ishu was saying rainy was good. Let me try snowy. I didn't even mess around with the prompt, which I probably should, because I'm going quickly here. But yeah, this gives an idea. So once it does, you can run through it a couple times to get what you want. And then the nice thing is it kind of shows you a view of, like, what was the input, right? This was the input, and then here's what the output is looking like. So it's added snow. So this one looked really good. So this turned out really well, right? You can just play around with that and then say, okay, I want this one, right? And then just download that and add it to your package. So we're going to be adding a lot more to this. This is like in V.1 and lots of opportunities with that. Okay, that's more or less what I intended to cover with the product. I should also mention that all our training and support's included. So when we sign up a customer, we sell to companies only. It's unlimited users. We do cohorts of training. That's all included. We don't charge for that. We also provide support within the product with a chat. So we have a little chat bot that's trained on our user guide that you can just chat with if you don't want to talk to a human. The minute you want to talk to a human, you just ping and you should get a response within 5 minutes. And you can just chat with us to help you work through any issues you have. And then also there's a bunch of self-directed learning, right? So we have a support center, we have tutorial guides, etc., that you can play with inside the product. Pricing. So the product is on the the pricing is on the website. Typically, we get customers to choose standard or premium. Standard is $5,000 per year, unlimited users, all the core functionality of the product. Premium is just under $10,000 per year. Add a little bit more presentation quality and faster to do work type features. So the branding, the textures, the AI rendering is going to be with Premium and Enterprise. A little faster on resource requests, that type of stuff. So think 5,000, 10,000 per year to get started for your whole company. unlimited users, training, support, all that's in there. And then the way it works on the project, so everyone starts with 5 active projects. What is an active project? An active project is like read, write, you're sending links, you're making changes, it's active, right? The minute it's not active, you can just archive it. It's unlimited archives inside each account. Archives are read only, so you can go in there, you can go through the scenarios or through the scenario and the milestones, no problem. The minute you might need to bring it back, you just unarchive it. Okay, so you have a capacity of 5 concurrent active projects, but you could have many more than 5, right, to start with. Now, let's say 6 months from now, you're liking the product, more people are getting involved, other teams, is frictionless to add people, right? So teams want to use this, you add them in there, right? So the only governor is the active projects. So if you want to add 5 more, we have project packs, you can add 5 as you go. They're $4,200 per year prorated. So if you did 6 months from now, you wanted to add 5 more projects, so you pay $2,100. Now you have 10 active projects, right? So you can scale up from there. So the idea with this is as you use the product more, you pay a bit more. If you don't use the product anymore, you pay the same, right? So that's kind of how it works. And the product's getting better every week for the same dollar spent. So we're just constantly improving this product, trying to drive more value to our customers. Okay, that's more or less what I had intended to show today. I'll pause for just a couple of minutes. Any questions, you can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can just pop it in the chat. So the question is, how does cmBuilder handle revisions during the lifestyle of a project? Do the people who have access to the project get a notification that something changed? So there's no push notification for anything changing, but there are permissions and roles tied to each project and can do different things with that. That's typically what we get into when we do training. In terms of changes, we have the major revisions that we see are like model updates. So either you can just do model updates manually. So, you got a model A versus model B. You just upload model A, and then model B compares the tree structure of model A, and then it will tell you what's changed. You have a choice. Okay, you bring them in, and then everything that's stayed the same stays mapped. Anything that's new would be highlighted for you to be able to find a milestone. Or we use Autodesk Construction Cloud. A lot of customers use Autodesk Construction Cloud for model management. We have an integration where when a model becomes published on Autodesk Construction Cloud, it will it'll basically be like is available, and then you can link it and sync it directly to your scenario. So there's a native integration for that. And then other than that, it's mostly just we had, if you saw at the beginning, I said like there's bidding phase, there's construction phase, it's completed. So you can kind of keep a track of the project over the life cycle by changing the status of that project. And sometimes you can even search by that, and people can find those things, what is active, what has been done. But yeah, there's no like direct, because it's so like typically there's like thousands of actions done by users in a project. If we were getting changes notified, that would be a bit much. But you can see who last made a change. And so if I go to this data center one, I can see like, okay, it was last edited by my teammate February 13th here. And there is some like a history log type stuff where you can go back to previous versions, things like that. Hope I answered your question. Okay, well, I think hopefully that wasn't too painful for you. Appreciate you guys hanging in there while I just blasted away for 45 minutes. Thank you for taking this time. We're going to send this recording out, so if you want to flip it to anyone else on your team, you're welcome to do so. And if you want to reach out to us, what's the easiest way to do it? You can either email me. I'll put my email here. Or you can go to the website, or we have this support at cmBuilder.io as well. And for those who are existing customers, or if you're on here, if you want all like additional support calls or anything like that, training, just let us know. We're quite happy to set you up. You can just do it from the product itself, or you can just ping us. And any new customers, any people that look at the product to incorporate it into the platform, that would be great. Perfect. Okay, let's wrap it there. Have a great day, everyone. And I know it's late for you, Owen. So good night. And for everyone else, have a great day.
Hey, thanks. Bye now.
Cheers, mate. Bye.